journal is a wonderful place for you to record the details, even the bad ones, even the hard ones, even the sad or challenging or depressing or real ones. Hello, everyone. I am here with the third journal in this set of flip-throughs that I'm doing. It started with the 50 before 50 year that I did in the year approaching my 50th birthday. And just to show you again, I've shown two of these already, and this is the format that I was using. This is the Moleskine art sketchbook, and it is an A4 size, so a little bit bigger than regular paper. It's about 8.5 by 11, and this was a really good size. It's got really nice thick paper, and it takes fountain pen ink very well. So this has been the size I've been using, and all four of these in the series are all exactly the same. So I'm going to show today a flip through of Journal 3 or Sketchbook 3, and this one does start after I finished that first year. So it started in June, end of June. Some of these are from the first week of July, and this was the second self-portrait. So there was a little bit still left in the other sketchbook for the start of the year. So the form continues to evolve throughout these, and I continue to be approaching where I think I've ended up with Illustrate Your Week and my own illustrated journaling process. My aesthetic is very similar throughout, but each page is different, each spread is different. The self-portraits continued, portraits of other people continued, quotes, sometimes space where I thought I might fill something in and didn't. So I'm going to just flip through this one, talk a little bit about some of the things. And again, a reminder that this is in the middle of the pandemic year. So this starts in July or the end of June in 2020 and goes through December 2020. So a large part of the pandemic year is contained in here. And that started in Journal 2. You remember you saw the numbers. And so both of those journals span this time. Again, these are the kind of pages I like. These grids are very much, they come out of a love of graphic noveling and all things in panels, cartoons, comics. And it is a style that I work with. It gives me spaces to fill, and then I can fill them in any way I want, and sometimes I don't finish. Lots of hatching, fountain pen ink. This continues to evolve throughout this journal. Really cute sketch from Sketchy. Really love this little jacket with the patches. Then all kinds of things. Again, very heavy grid format here, portrait, quotes, and notes. All kinds of things, and then trying to keep track of the weeks. Week 3 of 52 means of this birth year, and I did evolve out of that a little bit as I continued and started using the calendar year. Numbers, COVID numbers, heavy grid format, providing the anchor for lots and lots of notes, some graphic noveling style recording of things that happen, playing with different ways to use panels and form. These olives make an appearance in all kinds of ways. Self-portraits once a week. I was also doing weekly drawings with a group via Zoom, and so a lot of the portraits start at that point or during that call or finish during that call. Lots of quotes. A lot of flowers during this time. I started putting pieces of paper in between some of the pages as they started to lift a little bit as they're pressed together and compressed. Again, we see these numbers tracked in different ways, the self-portraits, the moods change, the look changes, questions. This was the first time I used this ink, and I loved it so much. It really set me off on being completely hooked and fascinated with magenta inks. These olive jars were the topic of a Creativity Matters podcast, and I had done this drawing of them, and I'm still really glad that I did that. And if you know this reference, I still have the bag of jars, and every week I think this is the week to get rid of them. Lots of different things. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. John O'Donohue. Lots and lots of quotes last year. This was an image that I found at Sketchy, and I love this, the dinosaur in the cup. Really heavy format here for these first weeks of this book, and it is a format that I like. Probably if all my pages used a format similar to this, they would all lay out nicely. Again, playing with these colors, self-portrait, you see a lot of masks in this one. Profile picture with the flowers, a challenging photo for me to do, but I love having it in here and how it turned out. Issues of gaslighting, books that I might read or might come up, quotes, a very moody portrait. I really like this portrait. A lot of black and white still in the portraits, and that continued to evolve also. A page that didn't get finished. Portrait, a couple of portraits, self-portrait, recipe. I really like this muse at Sketchy, this family actually. There are several children in this family. I really, really, really like this one, this dragon cape. Another full body, lots of things worked in. Flowers with some color, lots of these. This became a big thing. You saw some of this in the last journal, and it continues here. And again, always these little bits of graphic novel storytelling, journaling, recording of simple events, but when you put them in panels, they take on a different appeal and different look. Keep company with those who say look and laugh in astonishment and bow their heads. Mary Oliver. I love working things in. This is a quote, an illustration, a drawing, flowers, and then just a note here, an unexpected kindness, something that had happened that I recorded. Again, very, very strong grid format happening here. And then some isolated portraits. That's always my go-to. I always want to try and keep that going. Same thing here, very strong grid format. Maybe a forgettable drawing, but I was trying something. It's tough. It's very it's not to scale. It is askew. Glasses, two different kinds. I wear two different pairs. Lots of different things. And then, always talking to myself, the narrative. This was also a very big political year. Lots of things happening. And lots of things do happen, so they get recorded in their own way. Some tracking here. And again, the real life was happening, but also these portraits and the self-portraits continue. Sometimes the moods are in sync and sometimes they're not. Lots of things going on and lots of use of color in the backgrounds still, definitely in the pandemic. And the pandemic hit here because I enjoy this portrait and this note. Some of you may remember this whole page because we did end up having COVID in our house and a very long hospitalization and a quarantine for those of us who were home. And the journal became a really important space and a normalcy space, a way to continue to just relax, balance, try and occupy my brain during a very long 2 weeks for us in the house and a longer span for the person who was sick. This was during 30 months, 30 days, and I love this page, and I have continued to do this, and we'll do it again. We'll do it bigger. We'll do it with other inks. And it's very simple. It's very mindful, but it allowed me to test out a bunch of different inks and to put them all in the same space so that you can sort of see them at once. And I've gone back to this to see, how did that ink actually look? I have a sample of that. What was it? And this is one of my favorite things that came out of this time period. Heat wave was very hot during the quarantine time. Self-portrait with mask, portraits, lots of things that I was trying to sort out and make sure that I recorded. And as you can see, it continues in very much the same way throughout. This combination of recording of something nice that someone did, a gratitude moment, portraits from Sketchy or just that I'm inspired by, mindfulness when I just need to keep my brain moving and occupied, lots of little things happening. You rarely have time for everything you want in this life, so you need to make choices, and hopefully your choices can come from a deep sense of who you are. Again, really like this. This is actually colored pencil in the background, and I didn't continue it. I really like the really burnished look, and it takes a long time, but I like the drawing. It's a Leia. I definitely love this drawing. Super cute. A pen bag. These were things that were inspired by Illustrate Your Week, which I had started in its initial form at that point, putting prompts out. They evolved into something weekly, but at the time they were a little different. And this was also related to an episode of the podcast, 422, titled Mixed Bag. Portrait, lots and lots of notes. Portrait. You can see how they become such an anchor. I love the mood, the story of this. Flower portraits, self-portrait. You can see all of this playing out in very heavily black and white, although we hit a page like this, which is different. Week 39. 39 in this case of the year, of the calendar year. Lots of portraits fit in, just weaving everything together. And this is something that I really, really love doing, filling in the space this way. This was a Ko-fi sort of challenge. That is not my original piece. It's modeled after someone else's illustration. Mask, self-portrait, portraits. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life. Thoreau. Show up. And then this was Inktoportraits. So I guess this is the first page of them. And that is a set of portraits I did during October, a month when a lot of people do Inktober. And I came up with my own set of prompts, specifically with portraits in mind. And I worked all of them into the space in this journal. So the words relate to the prompts, and these are all fit in together. And this was a powerful set. I had done an Inktober set, Inktobiva, the year before in the other journal. Again, I still did the illustrated journal in between, but my primary focus in these days was working on these portraits. Lots of different expressions, lots of different moods, trying different positions and different kinds of gazes. Really, 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 these are always an important set for me, and I really like having them in a book like this, having them together. And yet still, the illustrated journaling continues, the regular daily work continues, and yet we have the Inktoportraits filling in space too. Sometimes I set something up thinking I'm going to do something and then it doesn't happen. 2 more pages of Inktoportraits. Self-portrait was one of those. Lots of filling in of space, though, in this set. I really was working on tying things together. I love this one. Tying things together with the spaces in between, with the fill-in. I really like this one, too, with this rainbow. And I think this was the final set of these for the month, for October. Yeah, because then we're right back into illustrated journaling. It's great. Lots of fun. Still with the grid format, still some color. Definitely into November, so we're into election month. Definitely illustrate your week. Prompts are playing into what I've recorded here. Even things like repeating a shape like this or drawing something multiple times, that was a prompt. Lots of things here. This is definitely an illustrate your week thing with Sleeping Queens, which is a game, some quotes, this bottle, a little bit of color, same format. These are books from memory, like favorite childhood books. Really strong continuity throughout this entire volume of this process, especially with the continuation of a very clear grid format. That changes in the next one because there are a bunch of circles. But again, illustrate your week comes into play with this, all these things, the different choices and the notes, and a lot of times the little things that get fit in are directly coming from the nice prompt set once a week, which makes it easy. Some drawings I intended to ink later for time lapse and didn't ink. This was an illustrate your week prompt. See here, we've got illustrate your week starting. I enjoyed doing this. It was fun. Self-portrait and a portrait that I'm happy I left on the same page by itself, but I enjoyed doing this. Again, into the holiday season, lots of drawings and notes, some ornaments from the tree, movies to watch, and I checked off some of them. It's not a great drawing, but it's a movie I really like. Notes, self-portrait, ornament. I love drawing ornaments. This was a funny one. This was just a funny, it's supposed to say Noel, and it didn't fit. So I changed it to O. Love this color. Still need a bottle of this ink. This is Rick, if you know Rick from Sketchy. Lots of things fit in here. These don't go together as a narrative, but they're little things that all are important little notes. And then just lots of different things get captured this way. Again, this color I love, and I love it with red. I haven't been able to get this ink. It's hard to come by. But it's really different than most turquoises or aquas. And I had been trying some things, but I love this one. So as we go into the holiday span, a whole bunch of things that are, seasonal and that fit in. Ornaments and things sitting around the house. And then this portrait, I did a time lapse of doing him and a final self-portrait. And that's it. That's it in this journal. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you find it just interesting and inspiring. Again, it's not about my specific notes. It was a hard span of months in some ways for all of us. We each had different challenges during the pandemic and during the COVID year, but a lot of good things came out of it too. And we all go day by day and take what comes and make the best of it. And your journal is a wonderful place for you to record the details, even the bad ones, even the hard ones, even the sad or challenging or depressing or real ones. I mean, life is real, day to day is real, whatever's happening is real. This was real. And the fear that it inspired in my house based on what happened was real. And I think it's important that we have a place where we can record these things. And I hope that when you look at something like this, it just gives you a sense that, hey, I could do that. I could write the date and write a quote and record something I saw, or record flowers, or draw a portrait, or just draw some circles and fill things in. I could do that. I could write a note or draw my coffee cup. I hope that it gives you that kind of nudge and encouragement to try something like this yourself. And this is not a frameable work. That is obvious. It's got lots of spaces that are blank or unfinished or smudged, and lots of things that definitely shouldn't necessarily be hung up or displayed somewhere else. So that's part of what a journal is all about. It's an illustrated journal. It's a sketchbook. It's a sketch note diary. It's a sketch note of my life, and it's daily documentation. And sometimes it's just beautiful, beautiful hatching and line work and fill in and mindfulness. And to me, that has become the most important thing I do creatively, is fill pages just like this. So thank you for watching. If you're interested in more of this kind of talk, I hope you'll check out the Creativity Matters podcast, creativitymatterspodcast.com. And I hope you might follow at Instagram. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe here at YouTube. I could definitely use the follows. Thank you.